Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the 2015 SU Officer Elections Questions to Candidates President's event. If you're watching in the audience or on the live stream and want to contribute questions, you can tweet using the hashtag BathQ2C. We're going to get right into it. So I'm going to ask each of the candidates to introduce themselves over a minute, and we're going to do that in alphabetical order. So that starts with you, Dominic Graham.
Hi, I'm Dom, and I'm standing to be SU.
Hang on, can you please do that again when we get the... We're good to go? Okay.
So again, hi, I'm Dom, I'm standing to be SU President. So I want to make...
Sorry, one moment, we've still got problems. Are we good this time? Really good? Good. Okay. Okay, second time.
Right, here we go. Third time lucky. Right. Right, I'm Dom, and I'm standing to be SU President because I want to make sure that every student here gets the best education possible, and every student here enjoys themselves as much as possible while at the uni. I want this campaign to be focused on the bigger issues which have been overlooked really in recent years in the SU. So for example, I want to introduce policies to make sure every student gets the best possible value for money from their education. And I want to ensure that every student not only gets the best accommodation possible in their first year, I want to make sure that no student has to deal with rubbish landlords when they're in private accommodation. I've campaigned for all student staff to get the living wage, and and a whole host of other smaller issues I want to deal with as well. So yeah, vote for Dom.
Hello, I'm Ben. I'm the current sport officer, and obviously I'm running for president. The main reason I want to run, really, I've had a fantastic year as sport officer, really enjoyed it. Feel like I've made quite an impact supporting our clubs as much as possible to make sure that university experience in a sporting atmosphere has been as beneficial as possible for all students who engage with sport at Bath. I've never really been involved with the union before this role. I was chair of a club, but that was about it. And this year has really given me opportunity to give me more insight into the union as a whole. I've been able to work on a lot of union-wide issues, and hey, I think President is an invaluable role to really lead the students at this university, to represent them to the university hierarchy, and make university the best it can be for you guys. So yeah, that's me. I won't use the tagline this time.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm running to be president as well, clearly. This is something I've thought about doing for quite a long time. Leading the union will be something that I'm very passionate about. I've had a great time at Bath, and I think it's something that you can really put something into to make sure other students have a great time at Bath as well. I've got a lot of experience in working in the union, and I want to try and expand that to the wider role. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm your current Students' Union President. I'm rerunning fundamentally because I believe there's still a lot of change that I can help deliver on behalf of the student body. I think that during my first term as SU President, we've achieved quite a lot, but there's still a lot more to do. And similar to Dom, there are some big issues that we face that we can contribute to on a national level, but actually we also need to reevaluate what we do day to day so that we don't just campaign for the international students to have a fair deal here or postgraduate students to be affected positively. We actually look at things like the buses that affect you day in, day out, and we're making progress, but there's still so much more that we can do. So kind of reevaluating the relationship between the president, the Students' Union officers and the student body so that we can make sure your time here is as best as it possibly can be. It's never going to be perfect, but I mean, if we can create some positive change, that's my role as the president. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Ashley Russell, and as well as these guys, I'm running for president. I have experience as well as within the union, chairing an SSLC, but also outside the union as a trustee for a large national charity. And I believe I can bring the experience that comes with having to manage resources, manage strategy and vision into the union to make it a more efficient organisation for us all. And I specifically want to work on space, that we have opening up existing space in the university, making sure that we have efficient approvals that are timely, and also making sure that we have embraced our cultural diversity and that we are having our voice heard both nationally and locally on all the issues that affect you.
Okay. I'm going to ask a few questions from myself, and then we are going to open it up to tweeted questions and audience questions. If anyone from the audience wants to ask a question, you can either write it on a piece of paper, or when I open it up to the floor, we have a roaming microphone as well. Okay, so the first question. Whoever wants to jump on this first, please do. Now, consistently, all of you mention the ever-present problem of space on campus. Learning and teaching space is much a problem this year as it was last year, given the fact that student numbers have increased and are very likely to increase next year. Now, okay, to all of you, how do you intend to secure study space on a campus with no planned construction projects until 2017?
I mean, if you walk around the campus, you'll find a lot of empty rooms or people just working by themselves in rooms. I think it needs to be, we just need to make these things more available to people. The room booking system, if you go on there, says that you can't use it for revision or private study. And we just need to make sure that the existing space that we do have, the rooms that are available, are known that they're available and known that you can use them for what you want to use them for, which is obviously going to be your study.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of students here that don't know how to find where there's spare space. You can walk around this campus and there'll be empty tables, there'll be places that you can go and sit and do work. You don't need anything fancy, you just need a table and a chair to go and do work. We've got, the Students' Union have got the police station in town. Although there's nowhere to be built up here, we can push for space to study in there as well.
I think that you're right in that no new buildings, apart from the buildings that are currently going up, are going into the master plan. Although I think to create space, we actually need to diversify our activities. So moving learning online means that we will have less physical teaching going on campus. And actually that will create space. There's no way any of us can come up with a solution to magic rooms around campus. And at the same time, physical infrastructure is also supplemented by those spaces in the city. So Manvers Street offers us some solutions, but equally using space that exists in other educational establishments or community areas in the city that we then facilitate with things like EduRoam, printers and library services that you can use anywhere in the city of Bath to study or to socialise is an important step that doesn't just dwell on the fact that we're not going to keep expanding this campus.
I really just concur with what the rest of the guys have said. I think it comes down a lot really to transparency of the rooms bookings process. As the guys have commented, it really needs a bit of work. It needs to make the facilities which are actually on campus, which are, in my eyes anyway, they're the university's property. They should be for the university students to make use of. Actually, I think that we just need to make it a bit clearer when they are available, what they might be available for, so that students can actually go about booking it themselves. And yeah, I think it was 90% of room spaces were used in Chancellor's Building this year, and it's probably going to increase to 100, but we've got goodness knows how many other buildings across campus to use.
So there seems to be a consensus amongst you that most of all it's awareness of the facilities is the biggest deal. Whose responsibility is that to make people aware of these facilities?
Well, obviously, if the university is going to consistently increase student numbers, it has a duty to ensure that we get better facilities as a result of that. And I want to make sure that the Students' Union really holds the university to account on that. If they need to build more buildings, that is something that they're going to have to do. But I mean, the more immediate step we need to take is that we have to review the room booking system, obviously, and make sure that all rooms are being used as much as they need to be. I mean, there's no point if rooms are being left empty at, say, 2:15, and that's meaning that someone's going to have to go to a 9:15 lecture. So essentially, make sure all rooms are being used as much as they possibly can be, and then find perhaps spare teaching rooms to make use of.
So review it how, given what's just been said, with regards to transparency and awareness?
I think the communication of what rooms are available needs to be a joint effort between the Students' Union and perhaps the President and the Education Officer, but also with room bookings as a service at the university, and actually using that collaborative effort to... I think the union offers a great opportunity to shout to students about what is available. It's just important that we obviously work with room bookings.
You could even use the academic reps. Like, the academic reps they're going to talk to all their peers. If you give them that information, they'll pass it on to everyone else.
I think there's something to be said for when rooms appear empty, they may be booked for something, so there might be students with additional needs who require that space, and that space has been ring-fenced for them. When you walk around campus, just because the room is empty doesn't mean it's not already been allocated to something, and that could additionally be for supporting your student groups with your committee meetings. So having those spaces available, which are sometimes empty, isn't inherently a negative thing, and it is a joint responsibility between the university and the union, and there is a platform that already exists to try and find those spaces. It just needs to be developed, which will happen with the review of bath.ac.uk.
Okay, so to follow up on this issue of space on the campus, say the university planned to provide more learning and teaching space by building a new facility on, say, the lacrosse pitch. Would you still stick by your pledges if it means robbing quite a very popular sports team of its vital resource?
I remember questions about facilities being asked when I was in this position last year at the Hustings for Sport, and I, rightly so, going for sport officer, prioritised sporting space over anything else. In this circumstance, I think lacrosse lasts. The lacrosse club's grown from 180 members 2 years ago to over 250 this year, and I think that whilst the pitch has been used for a number of years, it's one of the only available green spaces on campus to develop, and with the work which we're making towards finally getting a 3G pitch, I think that's definitely going to be available for lacrosse to use, so why not?
So,
Use the medical pitch.
okay.
Sorry, lacrosse.
Building on Ben's point, last year I tried to articulate how the 3G pitch would be a learning space as well as a student experience space, in that we do have sport courses that will be taught out on the 3G pitch, and we additionally have a lot of additional, for example, sport coaching qualifications that would be delivered on there. In the same way, I think the campus master plan doesn't directly identify the medical pitches as a place to be built on. It definitely considers it, and the realistic option there is to put something like parking as a consideration for that space. Now,
Much better.
Sorry, the question wasn't whether they're going to do it, it's if it would happen.
so actually what we're doing around learning and teaching means that that won't actually be a consideration. So I think we have to ensure that the lacrosse team and the lacrosse club could go and jointly use St. John's pitches. So it could be definitely a space for development, but actually this campus is green and we need to fight for it to continue to be green, because that's part of the experience that values our students.
So that's a no. Okay.
I think as president, you've got to, weigh up all the things that go on campus. I do agree that things like sport are very important to the university, and I would be hesitant to agree to such a proposal. But if the business case is sufficiently strong that it's the only place to go and it's going to offer us the best opportunity for growth in learning and teaching, then maybe, but I would be hesitant to, personally.
So
No one reason.
Okay, so we got...
My turn? Okay. So we are essentially all here for a degree, but we're here to get student experience as well, and I will fully say that I'm doing that as well. And I think you need to make sure that if you're going to build on somewhere like the lacrosse pitch, you're going to have to give them somewhere else to go. And like Jordan said, you can easily go and use the 3G pitch, or you can use some other green space. But I would build on it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd agree with Zoe, really. We do have to balance that aspect of learning and social and sport, and so, I mean, obviously try and, as much as we can, to make the best use of existing facilities, but if we have to integrate lacrosse into the 3G pitch, that's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
As Zoe said, we are here for an education at the end of the day. Lacrosse is a flexible sport, and they can use the Astro pitches. They could, when we get the 3G pitch, we can use that. So I think it would be a shame. It would be a fine shame, but prioritise academia.
Okay. Okay. Second question. When you become SU president, you have to tackle the university on student issues. Now, in such situations, is it better to be more measured and realistically pragmatic, or is it better to campaign on student grievances?
I think you can definitely do both. I mean, there are many, many things I'd like to see the university try to improve to help students. I mean,
Sorry, how do you do both at the same
Both.
time?
you know, it's not impossible to campaign on student issues and yet be pragmatic. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
the SU should be campaigning for lower student fees, that sort of thing, but we have to be realistic and work within the resources that we've got. So, I mean, one of the key issues for me why I got involved in this campaign is that essentially, if you look at the tuition fee system at the minute, we've got students paying 3 times more for the same education as other students here, and I want to make sure that the university does everything it can to ensure that everyone gets value for money. And if, you know, I think we can do small, you know, cost-effective things like perhaps making more units available to students on Moodle, increasing the amount of feedback we can give to make sure that students are happy with the courses they're getting. That's simple, cost-effective measures that we can take.
Okay.
We can't change the cost of tuition fees for home EU students, so that would be something that we'd have to lobby nationally on. I think reasonable and measured approach is absolutely the right way to go forward here. As a union, we create a lot of change by working with the university. We're not a typical trade union, we are a students' union, and we represent our members very effectively by lobbying the senior management of the university. Take the living wage, for example. We're on the cusp of actually getting the living wage for our student staff, and the active lobbying outside of University Council and University Court is fantastic for raising the awareness, but we're getting the work done behind the scenes. And I think that working with the institution as a partner is definitely the way that I've gone about it this year, and I will continue to go about it in the forthcoming year if I'm re-elected.
Yeah, I think pragmatism is key, and I think it's easy just to make enemies, and I don't think you get anywhere doing that. I think you need to, as Jordan says, work as a partner, and you need to be targeted in what you're doing, because if you're targeted, you achieve, and then you can move on to the next thing. But if you're scattering all over the place, I think you don't achieve as much as you could do.
Taking a measured stance on things usually gets your point across in a more clear way, so that's probably the way I would go as well. You can't campaign for everything, so you'd have to choose on some things, so definitely the measured way.
Can't really comment more than these guys have said, to be honest. I think it's definitely important to have a very firm approach with the university, but at the end of the day, as Jordan said, you work with them as a partner, and we have to, as a union, to enact any real change for this university and the students who go here. So it's definitely, we need some diplomacy, some tact, but maintaining that direction that we want to pursue.
Okay, it's just, the SU often gets a lot of criticisms for effectively being lackeys of the president, and there's not so much representation about actual student grievances. Can you comment on that at all?
I think it depends on what you mean by student grievances. If you talk about the fact that our students aren't paid a fair amount for the work they do equitably with the other workers in the university, that's something we absolutely fight on. I think if you're talking about international students being put off coming to the UK because their tuition fees change every single year, that's something that we're fighting on. And if you also talk about academic misconduct when we represent students every single day, day in, day out, that's something that we fight on. And I don't think you can safely say that standing outside the Vice-Chancellor's office screaming and shouting every single time is effective when we can go into those meetings and create positive change for our students. And that's not just here. We do have a massive role to play across the country. And this year we've put Bath literally on the map in shouting with NUS to create some positive change, for example, in the face of the counter-terrorism bill. So I do think we stick up for student grievances. I wouldn't for one second say that student rights aren't at the heart of the Student Union.
Okay, because yeah, you're going to be going to the senior university level management, and this has about a century of experience within its role and about 18 combined degrees, obviously not held by one person. Now, given this, how are you going to prove to me that when you go up against such a group, how are they going to value your opinion professionally? How are you going to prove to me? How are you going to prove to me that you can be taken professionally?
I think
Your opinions.
if they have professionalism in their role, they're going to respect the fact that those living through the experience are going to be, as in the student experience, are going to be well informed on what's happening on the grounds, and they need to respect that.
Because you're effectively going to be somebody in a job for a year, and they're going to be somebody who has seen them come and go. So, how are you going to?
Okay,
Sure.
I mean, I've experienced in doing this previously, personally. I've stood up in a boardroom, again, of a national charity and said a project should be scrapped because it was failing. I think as long as you're pragmatic, as we said earlier, and clear on what you want, I think people value that.
We hopefully will have been elected by several thousand students, so you'd hope that they would respect us enough to realise that we are going to act with professionalism, and we're there to represent the students who've elected us. We're not there to just swan in and swan out again. We're there because we care, and we're there because we've talked to students.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't change the nature of our role. Essentially, we are going to come and go, but the student, the university has to respect the views of students. Whoever's elected, they're representing those voices, and it's important that the university listens to them. I certainly think that perhaps we can do more to be taken seriously by working with the university to propose measures, and then these could be put to students through more the greater use of referendums rather than just asking the university chancellor one-on-one. But yeah.
The university values the student experience. I know it's surprising at times, but they do. And it's not just to stay at the top of league tables, though they do obviously like that. I've met with Kevin Edge, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, on a number of occasions this year.